In a world of endless fandoms, one podcast dares to cover them all. Welcome to Between Two Batcaves, your go-to HQ for everything from comics to the screen and all the IP in between.
Join your hosts, Austin and Jordan, for weekly coverage of the comics, shows, and blockbuster hits that keep us coming back for more. So thanks for hanging with us and being part of the next entry into the Batcave saga.
All right, hello and thanks for hanging with us today on this episode of Between Two Batcaves. We are your hosts. I am Austin Luke, and he is Jordan Brownstein. And today we are discussing Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 7. But before we can do that, we got to get into a few things here on the front end of the episode. First, if you're liking what we're doing over here on Between Two Batcaves, let us know. Few ways you can do so, whether this is your first or 52nd episode with us. Pause.
Too easy. Shout out Ray Lewis.
Let us know how we're doing. It always like sidetracks me. Yeah, like I know what to say after that, but like it always sidetracks me.
That's what I'm here for.
Anyway, whether this is your first or 52nd episode with us, let us know how we're doing over here. A few ways you can do so. First, you can follow the pod on the podcast platform of your choice. Second, you can rate and review the pod. 5-star rating. There we go. Leave a couple words of kindness on any of those platforms. Goes a long way. And lastly, you can share the show with a friend. If you're watching today, odds are you're watching Daredevil. Odds are you know somebody else who's watching Daredevil. So fill them in on what we're doing over here on Between Two Batcaves as well. You can find us on all of the socials. Anywhere you want to find us, you can do so at B2 Batcaves with the number 2. You can find us on Twitter, only Twitter, at between, or no, I just messed that up. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm off today. I'm off my game. It's all the socials. We are at Between Two Batcaves with the number 2. It is most certainly the Shrimp Alfredo. On Twitter, we are B2 Batcaves with the number 2. Find us on there. Give us a follow. Like a really good way to stay up to date with the latest from Jordan and I, and just engage with us through the comments. Lastly, if you are watching Between Two Batcaves on either YouTube or Spotify, first of all, thank you so much. Love that y'all are engaging with us. Jordan, we just hit 60 subscribers on YouTube.
I saw that, dude. Exciting times. Even after our hiatus, we're back.
Yeah, I know. That was cool. That was a cool thing to have happen today. So to our 60th subscriber, shout out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing.
Let's get to 75.
I like it. Let's keep it rolling, guys.
Target.
That's all I got. Jordan, why don't you fill everybody in on some more details about what we got going on today and what to expect from us in the near future?
Pretty simple today, guys. We're talking about Daredevil. We're talking about Daredevil today, and we're talking about Daredevil next week. Penultimate episode. Talking about it today. Finale comes out next week, and we will be right back here to discuss it. What's to come after that? Who's to say? You know, I would like to check in on the boys. Maybe we can come back around to Invincible at some point, but we're in Daredevil mode right now, and I could not be happier with it. Before we get into Daredevil today.
You know what we got coming up? We got the Punisher special coming up pretty soon here.
May 12th.
Yeah, that's pretty dang soon.
All right. So
that's not
Daredevil
next week,
finale,
but the following week.
Is it just the week after the Daredevil finale? I think it is. It's May 12th.
Yeah.
So it's whatever that following week is. So we'll be talking about the Punisher. I think it's called Punisher One Last Kill, the special presentation. Super pumped. And then we're figuring our scheduling out right now, because as I'm speaking, I'm remembering that we have Spider Noir binge drop, all 8 episodes dropping at the end of May. So we'll be talking about that at some point. That last week of May, first week of June, kind of tight for you over there. A little busy.
Got a couple things going on, yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing, man. We're talking Daredevil today. So I kind of want to just get into it first with the Oracle report, touch on a few things here, and just kind of dive deep, get into the weeds on Daredevil penultimate episode of season 2. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good to me. Actually, I'll kick us off here. I got one thing to talk about in the Oracle report that I'm not sure if you know of because you didn't mention it a few minutes ago when we were just going over a brief plan for the day. But did you see? We got a official release date for Superman. My Adventures with Superman season 3.
I did see that, and I completely forgot about that, and I don't remember what the date is. So please tell me.
June 13th.
They're probably going weekly with that, right? That's what they've done for the first couple seasons.
I think so, yeah. And the image that was associated with this announcement featured cyborg Superman on the
Dude,
poster art there. So
the summer of Jack Quaid continues.
dude, I mean, listen, we talked about Jack Quaid stock last week.
That's real. I'm very excited to get that show back in our lives. That was season 2 was what, like 2 years ago?
Yep.
I think it was like a year or so before we got Superman, the movie. And so I remember we were watching that. We're wondering, like, is this going to be the last we get of My Adventures with Superman, a show that you and I both really love? Really glad they're sticking with it. So
yeah, I don't even quite remember where we left off. I might have to do a little season 2 rewatch. I don't.
that was
have time for that.
the Supergirl arc, right? With Brainiac.
I just can't quite remember how it ended. It doesn't matter. But ultimately, yeah, season 3 coming out. I'm looking forward to that.
Very exciting. What else we got? Oh, another show coming in June. Let's get into it. House of the Dragon season 3 dropped a pretty meaty, like 2.5-minute teaser trailer. Don't really know if that's a teaser still. What could the full trailer be?
Dude, the definition
I don't know,
between teaser and regular trailer has just become so blended at this point. I don't know.
Now we're getting teasers for trailers and trailers for teasers. It's too much.
Yeah.
But House of the Dragon season 3, right around the corner. June 21st release date.
Yeah,
This is news.
sooner than
This is news as of the
thought it
trailer
was.
drop because I think we just knew it was coming sometime this summer. I think we
Vaguely
probably
this
assumed
summer.
that it was later this summer. So
Yeah,
we'll be covering House of the Dragon season 3.
dude, that's exciting. So House of the Dragon is a fun one. First of all, you texted me about this earlier, but I have not seen the trailer, but I have listened to a full 2-hour breakdown of the trailer, courtesy of the House of R. So I feel like I've seen the trailer. And honest, I would have sat down and watched the trailer before we got on today. I just didn't have the time to do it. So
Honestly,
I feel like I've seen the trailer.
Yeah. The substance of the trailer itself, like, it was a great trailer. The show, like, it's going to be a good season of TV. I'm almost more interested in just, like, more generally off a couple months now from Night of the Seven Kingdoms, now a couple months away from this new season of House of the Dragon. Where is your excitement level for this season of TV?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, with A Night of the Seven Kingdom coming out recently, my like Westerosi excitement level is pretty high in general. That being said, House of the Dragon and A Night of the Seven Kingdoms are most certainly 2 different avenues within that Game of Thrones world. We knew that kind of from the get-go going into A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, whereas that focuses more on that, like, character-to-character intrigue and relationships side of Game of Thrones that was so well executed. House of the Dragon is much more the action-packed spectacle that Game of Thrones is. And so I'm excited. We've brought this up before on the pod. The length between seasons is ultimately a detriment to this show because I mean, I remember what happened last season, but, like, it's fading into my memory. It's been a while. I can't say that I'm, like, itching for the next season because I would have been itching for it for 2.5 years now. And, well, not quite 2.5.
Close. Feels like it.
Close.
I think it was it summer? Was it 24 that season 2 came out?
Yeah.
Either way, it's been too long.
My daughter had just been born. I remember that.
Okay,
so,
then we're right there.
Yeah. So, you know what? It feels about the right time to introduce her to Game of Thrones, right? So
Maybe Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah. No, dude. Wait, hey. There's some messed up stuff in that one. So
if that's messed up, then I don't know if she's ready for the bowels of the pleasure dens.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to having this back on the TV though, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I almost by necessity, I kind of had to detach myself from this fandom after season 2 ended because I knew it was going to be however long it's been to get back into this world, and the way they left off just was really, really a lot of buildup and then just cut to black. So watching this trailer, I don't even really know what's going on in the trailer. We do get some cool shots. We see Aegon on the road talking about how he is going to try to kill Aemond, basically. I think it was something along the lines of either I'm going to kill him or he's going to kill me.
Right.
Rhaenyra is on Cyrax and she's going to war. She's got a sword on her belt. Like we're doing the thing now that we've been waiting for them to do for the last 2 years. And I think now having a release date relatively soon, having like a pretty meaty teaser trailer to kind of sink our teeth into, I'm ready to kind of get back on the House of the Dragon hype train.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Our coverage is we're gonna be right back on board the minute we see a dragon. So yeah, I mean, bring it back. Come on. Let's get we're getting that our George R. R. Martin train rolling again.
All right, I sent you a news story earlier this week about this season of Daredevil Born Again and kind of like the viewership data that has been released recently in the past week or so. We don't have to spend a bunch of time on this, but I thought it was interesting and obviously relevant for our topic of discussion today. But basically, there has been a pretty significant drop in viewership from season 1 of Born Again to season 2. Like we're talking like 40 to 50% drop, whether you're looking at it in terms of like minutes watched or like number of viewers. However you cut it, there are a lot less people watching this season of TV than were watching season 1 last year. And I'm wondering, when I sent you that article and you read it, what was your first kind of big takeaway from it?
So, there's a problem with this. That problem being,
when I sent you that headline, what was your main takeaway from the headline?
Listen, pal, I've had 6 25-question quizzes in the last 2 days that I found out about on Monday. Okay.
You're telling me that there are more important things in your life than this podcast? And when I send you articles about
the answer is no, there's not. But
That's
there
not
has to be. So,
all right, then, you know what? We'll keep it brief then, because I honestly, I don't think this is a reflection on. I don't think this is necessarily a reflection specifically on Daredevil Born Again, and especially not on the quality of of season 2. I think most people would agree that this season is an improvement in quality over season 1, pretty significantly. The article touched on this a lot, but I think what's kind of more responsible for the drop is just people's viewing habits in general over the past several years. They talked about how there's just a lot less staying power, not necessarily just for Daredevil, but for other TV shows and other TV characters where, all right, you're on my screen. Great. Season's over. I have to wait. Even if it is just a year for Daredevil season 2, people move on to the next thing so quickly. It takes a lot to in today's day and age for a TV show to really become something of the moment and get those big viewership numbers. You just don't see it that often anymore. So, I mean, it's a bummer because I think more people should be watching this season of TV than there are, because it's been arguably, I think we're getting some of the best Daredevil content that we have ever gotten. But I do think it is just kind of indicative of this stage of the streaming era.
So yeah, I may not have read the article, but I'm a going off vibes guy anyway. So I mean, yeah, I get the sentiment of what's happening here. Obviously viewership numbers are down, and the confusion is why. As you said, this season of Daredevil is far superior to the first season of Daredevil Born Again, at least in our opinion. And as you mentioned, it's even superior to some of the Netflix Daredevil that we got in its previous iteration. So why are we seeing this drop? It's certainly not because of the quality. I don't think it has anything to do with like superhero fatigue, anything like that. I mean, maybe to like some extent, just like, yeah, sure. Like Marvel is now at the point of like the barrier to entry is like so vast that it's hard to almost keep up with the MCU because I'll use a very good like real life example that I have going on currently. So as I'm in class right now. I'm in training and I'm in training and there's people in my class of similar age to us, older than me and younger than me. That I mean, there's vast. I'd say maybe one or two other people in the class even are aware that this show is happening right now. Now, granted, sure, you and I are super fans. We're locked in. The other people who know about it, they're definitely not super fans, but like, yeah, they either have kids so they know about the MCU, or they themselves are just like casual viewers. But I mean, a lot of people are just like, oh, Daredevil, what's that? They're not watching.
Let me ask you this: those the people in your class that are like don't have any awareness of Daredevil right now, do you know if they're watching any other shows that are like currently airing?
So that's what I was about to get to. No, they're not, and that's the crazy part, because I was going to touch on what you just brought up of like viewing habits changing, and they most certainly are, especially with younger audiences. I've talked to some of these younger people in my class. I've 18, 19, 20-year olds, and they're not watching TV shows. And I was like, oh, well, are you watching this? Are you watching this? And the answer is always no. It's like, okay, eventually I was just like, what do you do at the end of the night? Like, what do you do? And they scroll on their phone. And seriously, that's it. I'm not like trying to,
I'm not immune to that either. I'm sure
I'm
you're
not trying to
either.
like harp on it, but like that is
It's
how.
so hard to like make an active choice to choose something to watch and like sit down and pay attention to it.
Well, it's not only that, but like they're not looking for that form of entertainment.
Because
They are.
Everything is just being pushed into your face
Well,
constantly.
and they're finding their value in their entertainment right here. Like that's genuinely how they want to spend their time. And to me, that seems very foreign, because I love, end of the day, plugging in my phone, turning it upside down, putting on Daredevil. You know what I mean? Like that. I love doing that. But I know a lot of people that thought doesn't cross their mind. I know people that I've spoken to do they literally lay in bed next to their significant other, and they both scroll for an hour at the end of the night before they go to bed. And don't get me wrong, I understand that, but I mean, that's what they're doing instead of consuming TV or movies or something like that. And
It's so
I think
funny
that's
how we've gone from TV rots your brain 10, 15 years ago to like now being like, no, like please watch TV. It's better
watch
for you.
TV. It's great stories. So just I do think that just a little bit of like real experience that I've had recently, just talking to the people that I know around me, really does support that idea.
It's a bummer, but like it is just like it is the environment that we're in. And I think like Marvel Studios and like the television production side of things, they've seen this coming. This isn't news to them, I don't think.
No,
They've like pared down production budgets. They've stopped producing as much. And I think that this is probably part of the reason, is just the decline in viewership on streaming. But honestly, dude, I'm done talking about this. I want to talk about this awesome episode of TV that we just got.
let's tell people why they should be watching this show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, let's. But before we can do that, got to tell you what happened in this episode of TV.
Only one way we do that over here on Between Two Batcaves.
There's only one way. Tell me how.
The Batcave recap.
That's the only way. Now, a little peek behind the curtain. We're recording this on Thursday evening. Austin, you watched this episode, about an hour and a half ago for the first time?
Correct.
I watched it Tuesday night and I got a rewatch in. So I'm coming with the notes today. Austin, you're coming with the vibes. All right. So let's get into it. Here's your Batcave recap for Daredevil Born Again, episode 207, The Hateful Darkness, directed by Ian McDonald and written by Heather Belson. The city and our main characters are reeling from the events of the prior evening. Matt is picking up the pieces of the AVTF's crackdown on protesters, Karen is in jail, and Fisk is scheming on how to use Karen to both legitimize his Safer Streets initiative and also draw Daredevil out. Karen and Matt both quickly realize that she needs to stand trial and face Fisk in open court, as breaking her out of jail would prove them to be the lawless vigilantes that Fisk has been trying to paint them out to be. Instead, they devise a plan to beat Fisk at his own game during Karen's public trial, with Matt coming out of hiding to make a surprise appearance in court for the defense in the matter of the State v. Page, using the hero status that Fisk bestowed upon him earlier in the season as armor. Before he can step back into the light, though, Matt finds a way to forgive Bullseye for killing Foggy, finding a way to forgive himself for trying to kill Dex as well in the process. Matt lets Bullseye go, but propositions him to do one good deed on his behalf to finally right the scales. Matt sends Dex to go save Governor McCaffrey from being assassinated by Fisk's goons. Matt learns that Governor McCaffrey is at risk of being assassinated during an earlier conversation in the episode with Jessica Jones, who herself got the information from a pantsless Mr. Charles. After Matt makes his big appearance in court, he and Kirsten are attacked by the AVTF in the parking garage. Matt saves Kirsten, but is shot during the attack and stumbles to seek refuge in a church and plead to St. Jude. As he's bleeding out in the pews, Jessica steps into the light. Meanwhile, we learn that Daniel is still holding BB hostage at his mom's house in Staten Island. Daniel and BB finally speak to each other frankly about who they are and how at odds they are, but it's clear that despite everything, they have love for each other. With Buck hunting them down for BB's leaks earlier in the season, Daniel almost turns BB over to Buck, but has a last-second change of heart and lets her go. Buck tortures Daniel for her location, but Daniel refuses to give her up, leaving Buck with no choice but to kill Daniel. The episode cuts to black as we look at Buck's regretful and, quite frankly, disheveled face. That has been your Batcave recap for Daredevil Born Again, episode 207, The Hateful Darkness.
Boy,
now, Austin,
has it.
I'm turning it over to you, dude. You're fresh off this episode. What is freshest in your mind right now from this episode of TV?
Okay, so, I mean, two things, and this is just going to be so jumbled around for a second. But so, I mean, first of all, gosh, man, what a good episode of TV. Holy cow, was this a good episode, not just of Daredevil, of TV. I mean, oh boy, I was having a good time watching this.
Yeah.
And to you asked the question. So what's freshest in my mind? I mean, I hate to jump straight to the end there, but dude, when I tell you my jaw was on the floor when Buck shot Daniel, dude, I mean, full body goosebumps.
Yeah.
It was.
All right. Let's dive into it. Let's dive in because I feel like the Daniel Buck BB stuff is kind of like its own thing for sure. Its own thing. So let's get into it right now because I'm right there with you. This is like that gunshot ringing out is going to be what sticks with me from this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know this because I mean you just watched the episode, but I've been like reading a bunch of interviews that have come out since this episode dropped, and apparently in the original script and as they originally shot it, Buck did not kill Daniel. He let him live. And like Daniel shot, Michael Gandolfini shot scenes for episode 8, and he was going to survive the season. And it was the showrunner, Dario Scartapane, who like in the edit just realized that it wasn't working. And they went back and basically like they like ADR'd some lines, did some cool VFX to like pull the gunshot off. And they're like, yeah, like this had to happen. And I like,
dude, good on them.
It makes so much sense to me because like one of my first thoughts after the episode was like, wow, they took it up to the first moment where I started to doubt that Buck would pull the trigger. And then he pulls the trigger right after that. And that's why it's so shocking, because like when Daniel walks into that room with Buck, like, like Daniel's screwed.
Yes.
And throughout that whole interaction, as Buck is torturing him, like you see that like Buck is like, he's not happy about it. Buck has grown very fond of Daniel, but he is going to do what he has to do, or at least that's what you think, up until the very moment right before he pulls the trigger, where there's just that look on Buck's face where he's like, come on, man, like, don't make me do this.
And Daniel's even like, and he gives that last little line of just like Buck, what's gonna happen? Like, what's gonna happen when it's you with the gun facing you? You know, you're the one in my spot, and that's you're right. Buck gives him that look, and he's just like, oh, Daniel.
You know what it reminded me of? That line, not necessarily just that line, but how Daniel died. It reminded me of how, spoilers for the first episode of this final season of The Boys, you know about this, we talked about it, but for anybody else, it reminds me of how A-Train died.
A-Train dies.
Yeah. Defiantly and with pride, like in the face of, an evil dark person.
Interesting.
And like their death is going to affect the person who killed them significantly going forward. Like, I'm so interested to see if and how this changes Buck going forward.
That's a really good point. Yeah, because like you said, you saw like his he didn't want to do this, and you saw like that moment of almost just like withholding from his character, and what would have happened if he gave into that side of himself and didn't pull the trigger. What would that mean for the Buck character? Well, that's interesting to think about, but it's almost more interesting now to think about, well, what does it mean for the character to now have to live with the fact that he did make that decision and he really didn't want to? Could this be potentially a turn of the tides for Buck? I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's most certainly making him question his allegiance.
See, I kind of had a slightly different read on. I almost think that this is just going to push Buck even further past any semblance of humanity. I think his like the time that he's not spending with Fisk now, he's probably going to be spending with Heather, soon to become Muse, which we'll get into. But
oh, dude, you really want to get me on this train today?
It does seem like the fact they made this change in post, like if they went forward with Buck letting him live, that almost would have indicated more of a change in heart of the character of Buck for me than pulling the trigger. It almost seems like, but like Daniel, and what I think is also a reflection on how good this season as a whole has been, is like over the course of this season, Daniel has like wedged his way into Buck's like whatever sliver of a heart he has left.
Yeah.
But like not even that was enough to like pull Buck away from the darkness, right? Like, so it does kind of seem like I'm not expecting too much of a change of heart from Buck at this point.
Well, it's interesting talking about just like change of hearts within this dynamic too, because I bought into the idea that Daniel was going to turn over BB. When he was like, oh, okay, like let me text my buddy. He's usually in Hong Kong, and you see him texting Buck. I was like, oh, whoa, he's gonna do this. Like, and you just kind of like saw that look in his eye, and it's like, oh, he jumped off the deep end. Like, he is full blown Fisk now. He is Fisk protege.
Dude, and God, yeah.
And like I was bought in up until like, and I was bought in so far on that when I realized that he was having his change of heart in front of the house and let BB go, I was disappointed. And I was like, oh, like I really wish they would have stuck with that. I really wish that they would have allowed the Daniel Blake character to go off the deep end fully. Now, after that, we got what we got, and so I was not disappointed with the results of that. But I mean, dude, I was fully bought in on Daniel turning to the dark side. I mean, that was pretty sweet.
Well, I think the way it was written and like the way that they acted the scenes between Daniel and BB were so well done, because I honestly feel like Daniel was flip-flopping back and forth like in the moment, like in real time. Like when they're at his mom's house, he's like, come on, like, let me think, like, stop talking, let me think. Like, I think he is like in real time trying to figure out a way out of this situation. And then at one point he like makes a decision. He's like, I can't get out of this. Like, I have to turn her over. And that's when he like brings up the safe house. And then it's just like, you have that moment where they're sitting in the car and like he turns to her and he's like, Fisk has done things, Bucko's done things. I've done things too. Like, I've done really, really effed up things. And then it's like when you can see like in those moments, he thinks that he's made the decision to turn her over because he's like, I can't have anybody else knowing.
Yep.
As I just told you.
Yep.
But then it is just like, he drags her out, they get up to the stoop, and then he looks at her, and I think she says to him something like, is this really who you want to be? And that's all it took to like shift the scales back over for Daniel. Right. It was just, they did such a good job of just like stringing Daniel along, like down this fine line to where he made the only decision that he could at the very end, but he could have gone either way.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, I'll say this much: I'm gonna miss Daniel in this show for sure. I think that what they did was bold. I think that it was a good story decision. I think that it really surprised a lot of us, and so I love it when a show is able to pull that off. But man, oh man, am I gonna miss Daniel Blake?
It's tragic because like, I mean, we get this from the previous episodes where they go to his mom's house for dinner and you get a little bit of an insight into his childhood and how he lost his dad. And like at his heart, he's just a boy looking for a father figure. The one that he latched onto was the wrong one. And he tried so hard to convince himself that he was like his father's son, being Fisk's son, like in, not necessarily in blood, but just in kind. And he pushed that as far as he possibly could until he got to the brink and was like, that's actually not who I am. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely the right decision to kill him off here, even though it stinks and like I'm going to miss having him on the show.
100%.
I appreciate them for taking that risk. And it just instills so much confidence in the creative team to know that this was a bold decision that they made in the cut.
Yes. No, I didn't know that was a post, made in post decision. So that is super cool. And I like the fact that, they found that it added value to the story. I think is really cool enough to go back and, spend time and money doing so. So I think it was well worth it because like I said, jaw on the floor. Jordan, I got a question for you to, I think, kind of lead us into our next topic here. You're a lawyer. So my question is, in the court of law, if you were defending your client and you call in a co-counsel and the co-counsel who shows up is a presumed dead or at least like missing, wanted individual, granted, not justly wanted, but still wanted.
Well, this way, remember, Fisk has like put Matt on a pedestal. He's like, tried to save my life. We got to find him. He's a hero.
Yeah, exactly. So wanted. He's still wanted. And this individual appears from the shadows after months of not being around. That person just walks into the courtroom. Is court still in session? What's happening here?
I don't know. He's got to enter an appearance. Might have to make a pro half vitae motion.
I don't know what that means, but if it means looking freaking cool, I agree because, I mean, it looks pretty freaking cool.
Listen, one of the major things that did not work for me in this episode was the legal realism because we're basically going like 72 hours from arrest to conviction for Karen Page.
Hey, listen, man. This is trying to make a point here.
I get it. We have to suspend our disbelief. This is a comic book show. I understand that. But this is also Daredevil. This is, at its core, in its bones, a legal procedural to some extent. And it's I'm
not
never
this
watching
season until now.
No, that's true. And we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
But we're just we're skipping a lot of steps through the pretrial process here. And I know Safer Streets Initiative, I get it. Thanos was here a while back. I get it. It's a little different, but it's a lot of whiplash from going from like being arrested one night to your attorney giving opening statements the next morning, basically.
And then Matt Murdock shows up as co-counsel. Just saying. Again, just.
And did you happen to catch what he was carrying with him and what he put in front of him on the desk when he sat down?
Is it briefcase?
He was carrying, you know, the Marvel Premiere collections, like those kind of small TPBs that they were putting out.
Yeah.
He was holding the Daredevil Born Again Marvel Premiere Collection book, and you can clearly see it on the desk. Just a little wink and a nod, I guess.
That's
a little product placement.
Hey, listen, man. You know what? You can't. He's blind. You can't make fun of him. Okay, he's blind.
You got the Braille version. Yeah. So I'm going to put that to the side from now on. But just know that it was tough for me to suspend my disbelief with some of the courtroom stuff. That being said, Matt being back in the courtroom, let's use that as a transition, because
yes,
I would posit that this episode, and I think this episode and the finale will prove that Matt has basically just had a 2-season arc over the course of Daredevil Born Again, involving forgiving Dex for killing Foggy and forgiving himself for trying to kill Dex. And Matt comes full circle in this episode. He is able to forgive Dex, forgives himself for trying to kill Dex, gives himself back to his religion, and is also back in the courtroom, all in the same episode. Yeah. And one of the critiques of Daredevil Born Again has been the lack of like the courtroom procedural stuff and the lack of like the religious iconography that is like inarguably a massive part of the Matt Murdock character, is his Catholicism, his Catholic guilt, and everything that goes along with that. And now watching this episode, that all feels so intentional, like going back retroactively to season 1 even, in that. And I think this is something that like we've thought about and like it's been in the subtext, but now it's just crystal clear that like Matt, over the course up from Foggy's death, basically up until now, to some extent has been lying to himself, to some extent has been suppressing these parts of himself that like make up who he is, like his religion, his belief in the law, his practice of the law. And I love where we find ourselves with Matt at the end of this episode.
Yeah, it's you said it really well with bringing the religion part of this show and this character back into it as well. First of all, like the way this episode was shot, I think was shot beautifully, like from the intro sequences with like the Fisk sequence to, you know, the way that they shot Matt in the church, things like that. I thought were they stood out to me very visually striking. But you know, some discourse I think that there has been over this show within, you know, the viewer community has been, okay, well, this is a great season of TV, but we miss Matt. You know, we miss Matt and what makes Matt. As you said, two pillars of the character: his belief and practice of the law, and his connection to his religion, and how that guides him. We haven't gotten any of that in this season, and we really didn't get much of it last season either. So to have this, the moment this episode where, you know, Karen's in jail, Matt's trying to figure out how to go about, you know, freeing her, and they come to the conclusion that, you know, he can't do this as Daredevil. Daredevil does not have a place in this fight right now. He's more effective as Matt Murdock in this instance. And so he's got to do what he's got to do. And he's got to suit up in his other suit and go into that courtroom. And that's exactly what he does. I think that I'm curious to see the discourse. I haven't seen obviously anything about this episode yet because I just watched it,
Just
but
watch it.
I'm curious to see how the discourse is over this episode, because I think that this moment, this coming back, as you mentioned, full circle moment for Matt Murdock of getting him back in the courtroom, getting him back in the church, forgiving himself, forgiving Dex. I think that this is going to hit really hard for a lot of longtime fans.
When the scene between Matt and Dex where Matt lets Dex go, what was your thought as to like what the one deed that Matt was asking Dex to complete was? Because initially I thought he was sending Dex to break Karen out.
That was my first thought. And then it dawned on me, I was like, oh, well, maybe it has something to do with the
governor.
Yeah, thank you, the governor. I wasn't quite sure what, because I couldn't remember the name of the governor, to be honest with you. So I was like, is he asking Dex to kill the governor? I don't think he is. But so I initially thought he was asking Dex to go break out Karen Page, but then also like shortly after that, I realized that, oh, well, Matt's going to go solve this in the courtroom. So then I was like, oh, I don't really know what Dex is going to be doing anymore. So it is interesting that he had Dex go save the governor from Fisk's goon that tried to take her out. I guess, good for Dex. I'm curious to know, what does this mean? We're done with Dex? I don't know. Definitely in this season.
I think we might get more Dex in the finale.
In the finale, you say?
I think so.
The finale, you say?
Yep. I really like the Matt and Dex scene there in Frank's hideout, because like just like the dialogue between the two of them, what Matt is saying to him about how like part of me wants to kill you, but part of me needs to forgive you. And that's like the part of himself that he's like talking to himself too, basically, I think, in that moment. And I also love that he like not only name drops Foggy, but also name drops Agent Nadim from Daredevil season 3 and Father Lantham from season 3, who Dex killed both of them. And I just, again, like harkening back to the connective tissue from the Netflix series and like reinforcing that history of the characters. Just there's a lot of history here now, which is really cool. And then, I mean, Dex, he made the most of his one good deed. He had a lot of fun with it. I found it quite interesting that he left the would-be assassin alive.
Yes, that is interesting. I don't know if there's anything to read into on that, though. But it is an interesting little note.
What I read into it is just that, one, like this is his one good deed for Daredevil, so maybe he's trying to avoid murdering, and also like this then opens the door
the way
for
that
the governor.
Daredevil would want it done.
Yeah, but this also opens the door for the governor and her team to be able to investigate and pin the assassination attempt on Fisk.
That's more so how I looked at it. Just to help
for story
fight
purposes.
The fight. Yeah. So, where do you want to go? Do you want to go Heather and Karen, or
let's talk about Karen, because there's like the Karen Matt scene that I want to talk about to kind of wrap up our Matt conversation for the most part.
Okay.
And then so my main takeaway from Karen this episode, and we'll get into it more, she was getting freaky with the Fisk administration in this episode.
Well put. Yeah,
we're gonna put a bookmark there though, because let's talk about like the like the genuine heartfelt scene that she and Matt had, presaged by Brett Mahoney coming back, man.
Dude, yeah. What a pull.
Seeing him, that was pretty cool.
I really like that. Hey, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it has.
And in the alleyway, he's like, man, we got to stop meeting like this. I think that he will have a bigger role to play in season 3, which is cool. Yeah. And I think, I don't remember exactly what it was, but is he like the head detective of that precinct where Karen was in jail?
I do think he said, yeah, he's like the lead
position.
detective. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so yeah, the Matt Karen scene. We talked last week about how Karen's bloodlust like didn't really work for us in the episode, which was weird because we have been a big fan of what's been going on with Karen for the most part this season. This episode felt like a really strong course correction for me.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, the so there's two main scenes that stand out to me in terms of Karen in this episode. You get the scene between her and Matt, which I most certainly think is along the lines of what you're saying. Yeah, big course correction. I think that I love like the realization we've already talked about it between the both of them of just like, oh, like she was like, you can't break me out, and he's like, I know, I'm not here to do that. She's like,
Yeah,
I was like, I
nice
love
like
that.
undercutting of the tension there.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, yeah, no, I wasn't here to do that.
I wasn't do that. And then you have this scene of between her and Heather, which I think worked a little bit less for me. Just because
Dude, I love that scene. I thought it was so funny.
dude, that's the problem. It was so funny, and like it wasn't supposed to be, which is the problem. I have
kind of was like a little bit like Karen giving her shit for Matt, like that. I was laughing at that, and like
I mean, okay, that part was funny. Yeah, that was definitely supposed to be played off a little funnier.
Where she's like, I got a problem because the man I love, I don't know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to sleep next to me. I don't know what's going on in his head, but it's pretty hot, right?
It's pretty hot. And then you just see the look change on Heather's face. Dude, it's like, I don't want to sound like a jackass, but dude, I have a hard time like not giggling when Karen tries to be tough.
Like when she's standing up to Fisk.
Yeah. Or like standing up to Heather or like that. It's just like, I genuinely don't know how to describe it. It's just something about the character and like when she's trying to be like big, beefy,
Do you think it's
puffing
the
out her chest.
performance?
I think so. I think ultimately like that's what it is for me.
I love she gets choked out by Fisk through the jail cell bars. She gets smacked around by Dr. Heather Glenn during her psych eval.
Quite a bit.
And she's smiling through both of them. Like she's smirking. Yeah. She's like, is that all you got? Like
I think what did it in for me was when she got back into the jail cell and she just like like looks at the blood on her and I was like, okay, Karen, come on. But dude, I mean, but I'm with you. It's the scene between her and Matt, I think was so good.
It's nice to see them on the same page again.
Very much so.
No
and I'm not knocking the rest of her in this episode either. I think it's you nailed it. I think the performance gets a little goofy for me sometimes. But I mean, that being said, I mean, we also get some great the Fisk scene between Fisk and Karen. I mean, that was.
I don't know about you. The Fisk says something to her, like talking about like you're a groupie for like an insane vigilante, blah blah blah. You do all this and do it for what? Love?
Yeah,
and that
laugh
that he does
striking.
It's been replaying in my head since I watched the episode. Just that. And
dude, it was
I don't
so
know,
good.
Like, this is just like a different kind of Fisk that we haven't seen before. And
well, Karen really, even like acknowledges that.
Yeah,
Matt,
he's like beaming. Yeah, and she calls him. She's like she thinks he's scared in that moment, which I do think there is a little bit of that there. I think Fisk is kind of scared.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he'd never admit that, but yeah, I don't know. Karen, she worked for me in this episode. I don't know. What do you? I mean, what is there left for her to do in the finale?
That's a great question. I think honestly, I think what's left for her to do in the finale, I think actually Fisk said in this episode really well. He said to Buck, do you think she knows that she's the wounded soldier? And ultimately, I mean, I do think that kind of is her role in the rest of this season, in so that she is the like centerpiece in this courtroom in which her and Matt and
Kirsten.
co-counsel Kirsten. Thank you. I was
Yeah.
going to say Kristen, and I knew that was wrong. And Kirsten are going to try to dismantle Fisk from inside the courtroom by not only trying to prove, the things that he has done wrong in the court, but also in the public eye, because
Right.
it's obviously televised.
Yeah.
Karen or Kirsten alludes at that when the judge says, "There's no jury," and she goes, "You sure about that, Your Honor?"
Yeah, I
Which I
think
thought
like
was
it's
very
smart.
cheeky.
It's smart that like the way they're handling the trial. When I say they, like like Kirsten and Matt, in that they're not trying to defend Karen against these charges, because obviously, like this whole statutory framework, this whole court is
Is a farce.
illegitimate.
Yeah,
And so you're right that they use this opportunity to then just like plead their case to the cameras and to the public, which
yeah,
is like really all that matters. Cause like Karen is going to be convicted by this court if it's still standing by the end of her
yes,
trial, regardless of
yes,
what happens. But that doesn't matter if Fisk loses in the court of public opinion.
right. Yeah, 100%. And also interesting little side thought I had about that there. Another question for you, as somebody who's been in court before. So hypothetically, if you were in court doing your thing, and then uh, on your way out of court for the day, you are going to you're going to your car, and then
Become the victim of a drive-by shooting.
yes, and the culprit of the shooting are
The arresting officers.
uniformed officers that everybody knows is the task force for somebody, or for the prosecution. And this all happens in the parking garage for the courthouse. I mean, what am I missing here? Something has to be wrong with that situation, right? I just
So it seems above board to me.
no, that's normal. If that's normal, please excuse my ignorance.
I would handle the situation just as Matt did, by tossing a billy club through the windshield.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. And then going to church.
And then going to church and praying to St.
Yeah.
Jude.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Cool. Just checking.
I got a lot more stuff about this episode that I really like that I want to talk about, but I feel like we're kind of like at a good point to get into, if you had any negatives, anything that didn't quite work, any nitpicks, and we can kind of sandwich that with some more good at the end. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Trying to think here. Well, I'll go here. Because as you know, I'm a Heather hater. And so I'll make my negative for the episode, Heather. I truly don't get it anymore. I just don't. I mean, I don't know.
I'm having a great time with it at this point.
I don't know what else to say. I just don't understand why we're still with this character. This episode actually did make a little bit more sense to me than last episode. You get her going in with Fisk, and she's like, hey, how are you, sir? And he's like, oh, I don't know. Nobody's asked me that. Stuff like that I thought was nice. The moment between her and Karen, we talked about it already, but
that's just good TV.
When I saw Muse in the freaking mirror, I was done. Man. I don't get it. I
hate to break it to you. She's not done.
Dude, it's just like, what, we have one episode left. Who gives a flying crap if she turns into Muse in the finale? I don't. I really don't.
Do you like how Fisk kind of clocked her T though?
Yes. Yeah. That was good. Yeah.
I like that. How Fisk saw that an earring was missing, the one that Vanessa stole. I'm curious as to how he came to learn specifically that it was Vanessa, whether it was just intuition or if, I mean, like he can figure that out if he wants to figure it out for fact. But I almost wonder if he just kind of had that intuition about it. But I mean, I think I like how Fisk kind of sees that in her, that lack of impulse control, and he sees that
Yes.
as just like another lever that
Yeah,
that
another
is
tool.
available for him to pull.
Yep. What about you? Anything that didn't click?
Couple things. And Mr. Charles, I don't know. I'm
Mm.
not strongly opposed to him as a character. I'm just like feeling a little bit lost with what his specific role and motivations are here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I mean, like on paper, we understand, right? He works for Val, whether it's the CIA or Ox or whatever. He's working for Val for the CIA. He's helping her recruit, like I guess, like Black Ops super suit teams. Like we got the confirmation in this episode that it was Luke that Jess was talking about last week, which
Yeah,
I was
yeah, I brought
surprised
that up
about.
last week. Yep.
But I don't know. I'm just like I'm not sure what exactly Mr. Charles is doing in this story,
Yeah, I
because
don't
like
either.
the Fisk foil stuff I love, but we've only gotten like a couple scenes of that, and there's only one
Yes.
more episode left.
Yeah. It feels much more. I think you brought this up last week, but it feels much more at this point that the whole Mr. Charles and Jessica Jones side of this season is more set up for next season.
Yeah, yeah. And then I talked about the legal procedural stuff not just being tough for me. I did think the AVTF garage hit was just like kind of clunky. Um, like both from like a like choreography standpoint and also just like how exactly that happened. But I do love like where it puts Matt, like
Yeah, yeah,
for him to be like get put in that position where he gets attacked and gets shot and has to go seek refuge in the church. And that gives Jess the opportunity to step in and save him, basically. Love all that. Just didn't love the mechanics of that firefight in the garage.
just doesn't quite make sense to me. But no, I'm with you. Yeah, it wasn't exactly like the best action scene, but then again, gets Matt back in church. So
You have any broken batarangs to toss out today?
I don't think I do. No.
I do. Dude, did you read any of the Zdarsky Daredevil run?
Yeah.
So you're familiar with the Cole North character from the comics and the role that he plays there.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very disappointed with what they've done and the lack of what they've done with the Cole North character so far this season.
Yeah. Solid.
And throughout the entire series.
Yep.
It just, I don't understand why have him as a character in the show in like a pretty prominent supporting role if you're just like.
If by name only, pretty much.
Yeah. And like,
yeah.
I do think that there is going to be slight spoiler alert, I guess, for like the comic run that pulls a lot of inspiration here. Cole North in the comics is a police officer who initially is like opposed to vigilantes. He's kind of an antagonist for Daredevil early in the run, but then has a change of heart, realizes that what Daredevil and what the vigilantes in the city are doing is good and helps them. I do think that in the finale, we are going to get some kind of moment from Cole North where he has a change of heart and does something to help Matt or the heroes out. But like the only beats that we've gotten to contribute to that potential moment over the course of like 2 seasons now are just like slight little like glances from Cole North. And like, it just, it hasn't worked for me.
No, that's totally fair. Yeah, you're right. It's one of those characters in name, not in action situations that you get every now and then in an MCU project. And it's just like, it's one of those things. It's like you hear it. And if your ears perk up and you're like, oh, whoa, that could be cool. And then they don't do anything. And it's just like, well, why even bother at that point?
Yeah. And like what we get from him in this episode, he's on the stand at Karen's trial and they're asking about the raid on Matt's apartment from the end of season 1. And basically like he's there kind of for the purpose of Kirsten being able to say that like the leader of the AVTF is just Fisk, and the leader, whatever, Officer Powell are just like, running things how they want to. And, everybody else falls in line basically. Right. So that's all he's there that's the purpose that he's there to serve. could have been any task force member, really. And so there's still more game to play, but up to this point, over 1 7/8 seasons, not quite there for me. You wanna make our compliment sandwich complete?
Yeah, dude, I love a good sandwich. Let's
Had a good
finish
one
it
today.
off with what was it?
Chipotle chicken.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice. I
Little
had a
Jersey
wrap.
Mike's.
I had a wrap that had it was like cowboy butter chicken. It's pretty dang good.
I don't know what that is, but I like it.
So wrap it up with some more positives here. I'm trying to think about who we
You want to talk
haven't
about
really
Jess?
touched on. I mean, yeah, I feel like we did in terms
We did a little
of
bit.
like just like I kind of feel like at this point, she's mostly set up for the next season. We get the illusion she'll be present in the next episode. Yeah. But I think this is more so like, okay, like she's here, she's sticking around, she's going to help fight the fight in the finale. But there's still going to be more fight. There's still more fight left over that we're going to be dealing with in season 3. That will have her, Luke Cage, and Danny Rand, Iron Fist, ultimately involved in season 3 with. I loved getting the Luke shout out this episode. I was
cool. Surprised that it was Luke who's working for the CIA. I'm gonna need some kind of explanation as to how that happened.
I'm curious. When I said it last week, I didn't really have any reason to think that. So now I'm curious to know like why this is the case. But yeah, so I mean, actually, I don't have a ton to say about this. I think that her involvement with the Mr. Charles character, it's acting more so as like the connective tissue to the MCU right now, which is most certainly important. Moving forward, I mean, following this series, we have Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Obviously, we just had Thunderbolts. Like Valentina's a big player now, and so now we are starting to get those like little underlings of, okay, well, there's something going on in the background. We have these like CIA, like superhero, like enhanced op teams being formed under Valentino. Why is that? How is Daredevil going to be involved in that? Is that going to tie him into the larger MCU some way, somehow? Potentially. That's kind of where I'm going with it, because I'm not like really super attached to any of the major story beats with the character at the moment. I don't not like her. It's just nothing's really driving the plot forward, in my opinion, for her character.
I will say, I think she worked a lot better in this episode than last episode for me. I felt like she was a little bit more settled in. I like how they're kind of focusing in more on like that inner conflict of her responsibility to Danielle and her greater responsibility as a hero. And I think you see her grappling with that a little bit more directly now in that rooftop scene with Matt, which I thought the rooftop scene with Matt from last episode, kind of weird. The dialogue felt kind of stilted. It felt a lot more settled in this time. And then, dude, I absolutely love getting Cherry back for the first time since early this season. And I
forgot about that.
I equally loved how like Cherry's kind of like a Jessica Jones fanboy.
Dude, yeah, that was funny. He was like, hey, love your work.
He's like, hey, PI to PI. Like, I'm a fan of your work, basically. Like, I thought that was really cool.
I forgot about that. That was cool.
I'm very excited to have Cherry back. And I also like how Cherry is like, he's also playing that role of being like, hey, Jessica, like, the city needs you coming back. Like, it's not, that I like that he is kind of one of those people pulling people into the fight. And it works because you get like Jess at the end of that rooftop conversation, her decision is she has to go home to her daughter. I'm sure you sitting over there, you cannot argue with that decision. But for her to then step into the church at the very end of the episode, bathed in red, as Matt's bleeding out, praying to St. Jude, Jessica Jones steps in like divine intervention and just like with her boots on, with the leather jacket. And you can just tell that like things are escalating. and it's really exciting. And I was much more. There was a lot more for me to latch on to with Jessica in this episode than last.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's most certainly going to be a big part of the finale. I just think we're going to be left after the finale with more questions about, or like I said, there's going to be more fight to have fought. And Jessica Jones, I think, is going to be a much bigger part of that. And I think we're going to see why she needs to be in this finale. So I'm definitely looking forward to having more of the character around. And definitely looking forward to having her co-parts, at least Luke Cage, come back, because God, that's gonna be exciting.
What do you think? Do you think the finale is going to kind of revolve around the closing of Karen's trial?
Yes.
That feels kind of like what the nucleus of the finale is
Yes.
going to be, right? Because
Yes.
there's still at least another day.
It's like the last bit of
bleeding out.
Fisk toppling, like everything around him crumbling.
Yes, I think that's exactly right. Is like the walls finally closing in around Fisk. The governor is on to him.
Mhm.
She was already getting ready to draft up the termination paper for Red Hook, so that's going down. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. The way this finale has been talked about is like insane stuff is going to happen.
I know.
Which, like, that's how things get talked about. Sure, take it with a grain of salt, but it feels like there is going to be at least some kind of plot development that we don't see coming.
Yeah, no, I get that. There's a sense of like I don't think everything's gonna be resolved by the end of the season. And I'm not sure in what way that'll come. And I don't want to speculate because who cares? We're gonna get it in a week. But
Yep.
I'm with you. There's something like lingering in the air of the feeling of this season of, like where are we gonna be left off, and like why are we not gonna be fully satisfied? Not in terms of like a good season of TV, but just like why are our characters not going to be like satisfied with where they're left off after this season?
I don't know, man. There's a lot of exciting stuff to come. Do you want to give out any bat signal spotlights?
Sure. Let me go give a bat signal spotlight to character. I'm gonna give it to Daniel Blake. You know what? I'm a pouring out for the homie. Last bat signal spotlight he's gonna be able to get. He deserves
Shout out
it.
Michael Gandolfini. Yep.
Awesome performance. Gonna miss that dude.
I would also give mine to Daniel Blake, but I will instead pivot and throw my bat signal spotlight on Brett Mahoney. I'm just excited to get Brett back.
I like it, dude. I
mean, like, honestly, like, it's Daniel Blake, like, just like it's a performance in an episode and a scene that's gonna stick with me for a long time.
Yeah.
So scene, I would also go that final scene with Buck and Daniel, probably.
I'll let you have that one. And I'll go for my bat signal spotlight scene. I'm gonna go Matt enters the courtroom because oh, dude, it was cool.
Yeah.
Again, full body chills.
Dude, before we get out of here, I do just have, like, I was taking notes. I rewatched the episode to take some notes on it with some quotes and stuff. Fisk, like, aside from that laugh that he's doing, he has had some really interesting lines. He had some in this episode when he's talking to Heather and they're talking about Vanessa. He says something to Heather along the lines of, I always accepted love as a prison. I just never expected to be in that prison alone, which first of all, like, poetry is beautiful. Like, it says a lot about the character of Fisk.
Shout out writers.
I also found it interesting, though, that he still feels like he's in a prison. I almost thought that, like, Vanessa dying would be like a freeing thing for him. Not in the sense that, like, he finally feels untethered, but like now there is literally nothing holding him back from doing whatever he sees fit.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know how to take that. I mean, maybe just because he does ultimately, maybe he wants to serve her memory and try to continue to live by the way that he knows she would want him to, because even though she's gone, he still loves her. And so I that makes sense to me if he's trying to honor her memory by being the person that she wanted him to be.
I also, just going back to the Daniel Buck scene, you mentioned where Daniel, like, his last words are like, what's it going to be like when it's you on the ground with a gun at your head? I also like when Daniel said to him, "This isn't Helmet Buck." Calling back to that conversation they had in the car, where it's like, that's like one of the first real heart-to-hearts they ever had. Calling back to that in that moment, just like some really, really cool dialogue and lines in this episode of TV.
Well, and that scene too, just like his cockiness, just like she's not gonna make it. Where is she, Daniel? I think she had a birthday. I was like, oh no, man.
I mean, he walks in there with like the confidence of somebody who knows that he has nothing to lose.
Yep.
So,
and he lost
again,
all.
pouring one out for our boy Daniel Blake. What a really, really awesome episode of TV. You got anything else? Anything else you want to say about Daredevil 207 here?
No, I'm good. I'm satisfied. Oh, hold on.
You got something?
My headphones just started doing all sorts of weird things. I tried to connect it to like multiple devices. It was weird. Anyway,
start listening to Cars.
Oh goodness.
Cars 2, sorry.
Hey man, you joke. You better be ready. You're watching that this weekend, pal. So
hey, I haven't seen it in a while. I'm actually kind of excited.
You should be. It's a great film. Anyway, no, I'm happy with this episode. I like that we're on the same page here, except for the Heather thing. And
healthy disagreement.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this finale. I think we're gonna get a banger of an episode next week.
Absolutely, and we will be back to give you guys another banger of an episode next week to talk about that aforesaid banger of an episode. We appreciate you guys.
Bangers.
Thanks for hanging with us on this episode of Between Two Batcaves. Hit us up on the socials. We're everywhere at Between Two Batcaves with the number 2, except for the app formerly known as Twitter, where we can be found at B2 Batcaves. Hit us up on the socials. Thank you guys for the follows on YouTube. Big 60. Let's get to 75. Come look at our beautiful faces. Tell us we're ugly. Love you guys.
And before you close out of the podcast app of your choice, just a quick reminder here to leave a 5-star rating and review on the podcast platform of your choice. If you're watching Between Two Batcaves, go ahead and click all the buttons you need to click. There's like, there's subscribe, there's ring the bell, there's follow, comment, all of them. Just click the buttons.
Squeeze it.
Squeeze it, bop it, twist it, pull it.
Don't pull it.
No, don't pull it. Anyway, we gotta go. We will be back next week, covering more Daredevil, the season finale. So from our Batcaves to yours, thanks for hanging with us, and we will see you next time.
See ya.